Warm greetings to you from Silver Bay. I hope you're warm and feeling good and feeling loved where you are. And again, thank you for being a part of this work that we're doing here at Silver Bay. My name is Bruce Tamlyn. I recently retired from my position as the chaplain at Silver Bay, and I'm grateful that Silver Bay has invited me back in a very limited way to offer programs like this one. Today I'm in the library of Trinity House on the campus of Silver Bay, and with me is Austin Porth, our digital marketing media specialist, who is filming this program. Thank you, Austin. And what this series is about, this is the second program in the series. This series is about understanding the first slide that we did here, making the most of this precious life. That's the overall title. And the title we're working with today is Living from the Inside Out. And before we get into that topic specifically, I'd like to just have us do a short sort of centering exercise. So let me encourage you to find a comfortable place just to sit in your home or apartment or wherever you might be, and to find a relaxing chair. And just what I'd like us to do is to prepare our hearts and minds to be sort of grounded and to receive and begin to do some of the inner work we're going to do today. So I would suggest you find, again, a comfortable chair and just feel the support of the chair, supporting your back and supporting your feet, and relaxing into the chair. And I suggest you just do a brief body scan, maybe starting at your feet and moving up through your body to see where you might be holding tension. Maybe you're holding tension in your neck or in your shoulders or somewhere else in your body. So you can just concentrate on that area and to begin to let that tension go. And so you can feel your body relax into the chair more and more. And as you continue to feel relaxed, I'd ask you to just focus on your breathing for a moment and be aware of, as we inhale and as we exhale. And let me suggest that you feel yourself inhaling, and as you exhale, in your mind's eye, you would say a word, a comforting word, like peace or joy or family or love, compassion. You would pick a word that means something to you and that has a kind of a grounding sort of meaning. And again, as you inhale, to feel the breath coming in, and then as you exhale, saying this word silently to yourself. And we'll just do this for a couple of minutes, just to center and ground ourselves. So we can feel our body and our minds relax. And this is an exercise you might want to do on your own from time to time, where you just allow yourself to be aware of your breath coming in, and as your breath exhales, you're able to say that mantra word in your mind's eye. And it just allows us to come to a place of inner peace and a sense of calm for us in a oftentimes busy day and busy world. So thank you for joining me in doing this. So as I mentioned, today's topic is living from the inside out. And again, I would welcome comments or feedback or anything you'd like to share at my email, brucetamlyn@gmail.com. So what do we mean by this term living from the inside out? Well, let me try to explain it some. It's a pretty simple concept, but I think it's important for us in the world in which we live in today. Living from the inside out means living out of maybe a heart space, living out of an awareness of our soul, an awareness that we're these spiritual beings. And as spiritual beings, our soul, our heart, our deep intuition, to be more aware of those parts of us. And the idea of living from the inside out is those parts of us are inside our soul, our heart space, our deep intuition, our deep inner knowing. They're all within us. And so being in touch with those parts of us and living out of those places. Yes, we need to be in the world. We're in the world. But we don't have to be of it all the time. We can make sure that we're in touch with this essential sense of self that we are. And so living from the inside out, this is where we are attempting to live our values as best we can, where we're living out our beliefs, where we're living out our deepest inner knowing, again, our deepest intuition. And we know this, that the world is so fascinating, isn't it? The world is so luring. It's so compelling. It's so attractive. It's so seductive. All the things that are out there in the world. And it wants us to, in many ways, sort of live out there. And that what's out there is, we're taught, is sort of real, and it's what it's really all about, and that our life is really this external experience that's going on out there, and that we need to sort of live into that and move into that in greater and greater ways. Again, the world has so many fascinating things. There's so much hype and excitement generated by the external. There's so much information and so many opportunities for us to be attracted to and distracted by. And we get distracted from the inside. We get distracted from the beauty that's within us. And so, again, the world says, "Whoa, look here," or "Look over there," or "What's exciting here?" And here's the news here, and you better be aware of this over here, and you better follow this, what's going on over here. Now, I'm not saying we want to be naive or cross out the world. I'm not saying that. But I am saying be aware of the onslaught of the external that keeps coming at us every day through so many different sources, through things like this device that just keeps sort of coming at us. And so much information. And it comes at us in a way that tries to convince us that what it's saying to us is real, and that we need what it is, and that we want more of what's coming at us that way. We are endlessly bombarded by messages to buy, to connect, to spend. You need this, you need that. This will make you feel better. This will be good for you. I mean, again, there is this sort of onslaught coming at us. More is better, and much more is much better. So go for as much as you can. And I'm afraid all of these messages in many ways serve to undermine our sense of self. undermine that inner sense of a container of this sense of self we are. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychologist, talked about the concept of the big S self or the small s self. And the big S self is one that's really aware of who one is and what one believes, and being able to live out of that inner sense of confidence in who we are. The small s self is one that gets sort of manipulated by the world and just doesn't have that deeper inner sense of selfhood that I think is so important for us. And again, so this is this idea of living from the inside self that way. There are messages every day, thousands of them, to let us know that somehow we don't quite measure up, that we don't have enough. And in the end, they give us the message in many ways that somehow we're just plain not enough. And I've had the privilege, and I've been humbled to work with people in this sort of this area of human growth and human development since 1975. And I've been involved in many different settings, many of those years here at Silver Bay. And the opportunity to sit down and talk with people in many different settings and many different people, thousands of people over these years. And again, so humbled to have that experience. But if I were to characterize, and this is, this is not an official study in any way, but one of the key themes that keeps coming up for people as I sit and talk with them, and as I know myself too, is that one of the common denominators is that somehow people don't think they're quite enough. And they're not doing enough, they're not being enough, they haven't sort of accomplished enough. And so it's a common theme, and we just somehow don't believe that we're enough. Again, we're not smart enough, we're not tall enough, we're not athletic enough, we're not creative enough, we're not wise enough, we're not talented enough. And one of the things that I love to think about when I'm thinking about this concept is if we went into a kindergarten in Ticonderoga, which is our town up north, or you went to a kindergarten in your town, in your community, and you had the opportunity to be in a kindergarten classroom, and you said, how many boys and girls here, how many can you sing? You know what would happen? Every hand would go up in that kid. Oh yeah, I can sing, call me, I can sing. Or you would ask the kids, how many can draw? How many can draw good here? Oh, I can draw. And so when we think about a 5-year-old and you ask them, can you do this? Of course they can do it. I can do it. Because we come into the world saying, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I am enough. That's the way we come into the world. And so if you went into a college class, and you said, how many people can really sing here? There wouldn't be many hands going up at all. Or how many people can really draw here? Not many hands would be going up. And so we've gone from, as a 5-year-old, yes, I can, to some adulthood, I'm not sure I can do that. And we're so much more tentative that way. So I think in some ways the world sort of takes away this capacity that we have to understand that we have talent and that we are gifted in ways and that we are enough that way. I do want to reflect here for a moment on the work of Howard Gardner, and maybe many of you are aware of Howard Gardner. He's was a professor at Harvard University for a long time, and he came up with the concept of the theory of multiple intelligences. And you could look this up online. There's many references to this, and you can find out a lot more than I'm sharing with you about Gardner's work and the concept of multiple intelligences. But what he basically came up with was that there are 8 multiple intelligences, and he studied people from all over the world in all walks of life. Let me just go through the 8 of them briefly for you. The first one is musical or rhythmic. You have the musical or rhythmic gift. The second one is visual and spatial. The third one is verbal and linguistic. The fourth one is logical and mathematical. The fifth one is bodily kinesthetic. And the next one is interpersonal, the ability to interrelate with people well. And the next one is intrapersonal, within yourself more. And the last one is a naturalist, environment, connected, the outer world, that way. And then he added some years later, two interesting ones, and one's called the existential gift. People have this existential gift. In some ways, that's some of the work we're doing here. And the last one is moral, having this sort of moral compass that people have. And the reason I share these with you is, now that we've talked about 10 of them here, in Gardner's research, everybody he studied had at least one of these, and many had more than one. And so he never found anybody that didn't have one of these. And so just know that you have one of these gifts. And you probably know as I read them off, and you could go online again and pull up all the information about Gardner's work on multiple intelligences and figure it out. There's actually a little survey you could figure out. So the question Gardner asked was, well, the way he said it was, it's not how smart are you? And that's the question we've been asked in school all these years. How smart are you? You get your grades, you take the SATs, how smart are you? The question, the way Gardner asked it in his research was, how are you smart? Because everybody's smart in some way. So I want to refute this idea that we're not enough. And you may be thinking, oh, I'm not good enough here, I'm not good enough there. But just know you do have a gift to bring to the world and who you are, and that you are enough. And in the good book, there's a line that says, do not conform to this world. And I think there's some real truth to that if we keep conforming to the world that way and what the world wants from us, we lose that sense of self and who we are and our gift to bring to the world. And so where I'm really going with this, living from the inside out, is have confidence in who you are and what you have to bring to the world. Because you're unique. You're the only you that's ever going to be on this planet. And that you, that unique you, who you are, has a gift to bring to the world. And as you bring that gift to the world in your own way, nobody's going to bring it exactly the way you would. And so your gift to the world is your unique sense of self. And living from the inside out is believing in that and bringing your gift to the world with a sense of confidence and a sense of it means something, and it's important for how you bring your gift to the world that way. So back to the question, how are you smart? So living from the outside in is taking all the messages of the world. More is better, you need more, enough is never enough. Who you are is defined by what you have. That's another message from the world. The world also keeps telling you this will make you feel better, this will cheer you up, go on this vacation. The messages are just endless in terms of that. All these worldly messages, I think, violate the heart and disregard the soul that we have. And our hearts and souls actually know better. And the alternative, again, from living from the outside, from living from the inside out, is living from the outside in. And living from the outside in, I think, eventually doesn't satisfy and help us live this precious life that we've been called to. So I'm encouraging us to listen and trust our hearts. Going inside to be in touch with our deepest inner knowing, our deepest intuition, to really trust ourselves as to what's coming up, and have an opportunity to talk about that with somebody you're close with, and somebody who you care about, and somebody who cares about you. Because part of us is this place where we're connected to the divine. Our soul, our very being we are these spiritual beings, are connected to the divine, and that's where our truth lies. And this inner life is where we come to know real joy, a real deep sense of inner contentment, a real deep sense of peace and calm. That's inside work. This is the abundant life, again, that the good book talks about. And the important concept here that I want to emphasize is that we need to have a real sense of inner joy if we're to experience any real joy in the outer world. If we don't have an inner sense of joy here, we won't ever have that inner sense of joy out there. And so oftentimes, and I've been in this place, and maybe you have too, well, when we get on vacation, it'll be really great. Or when we go to Hawaii, it'll be really great. I've never been there, but that's what I've been told. Or when this happens, it'll be great. Or when this happens, it'll be great. And you know what? Maybe, but until it's great in here, it's never going to be what we make it to be out there. And so this whole sort of session today is on coming to understand that what's inside of us, living from that inside place, is where real contentment and real peace and real joy is. And intentionally, we want to sort of activate those places within us so we really can know this abundant life. Again, let me just say, we have to be so leery of the world keep coming at us. We've been so trained to watch ad after ad after ad, to be marketed to be told what we need, what kind of shampoo we're supposed to use, what kind of car we're supposed to drive, what's this, what's successful, what's that. It all comes at us that way. The next new shiny thing, the next new toy, the next new experience, the next new thrill. And let me suggest that you don't need to buy what the world offers and is trying to sell you all the time. I think sometimes, and I feel this myself at times, I'm in sort of a desperate search of something to make me feel better. But the next trip, the next restaurant, the next article of clothing, the next whatever, to make me feel whole or to make me feel worthwhile or to make me feel better. But in truth, what will make us feel better in a genuine way won't come from the outside. Feeling better or whole or worthy or joyful or content or at peace is always an inside job. Let me share that again. What will make us, you and me, feel better, feel more whole, that genuine way won't come from the outside. Feeling whole and better and worthy and joyful and content and at peace will come from the inside out. When we feel whole on the inside, there's no need to seek all this wholeness from the outside or looking for it here or looking for it there. And this applies, and let me just sort of say and parenthetically here that this applies to relationships. And we're looking for somebody to make us feel loved or whole that way. If we don't feel loved and whole within us, there's no relationship that's going to actually fill up that emptiness we have. That's our work to do, and when I prepare couples to be married, do marriage preparation work and preparation for their getting married, I talk a lot about, the wholeness that you have is so important because that wholeness will serve you well in marriage. Whereas if you're thinking by marrying this person, and I must say, when I met Sarah, I thought, boy, my life was just going to be easy and beautiful every day after that if she ever agreed to marry me. Well, she agreed to marry me, but somehow every day hasn't turned out that way. I think you can understand those that would have been married. But the idea is that when we have that internal sense of wholeness and love, then we're able to enjoy that in relationships around us that way. So in summary, living from the inside out is the path to wholeness, to a real sense of inner peace and to a real sense of joy. So we might ask ourselves the question, how do we learn to live from the inside out? And again, we have to be careful with this because the world keeps coming at us so strongly that way. So I have 3 suggestions in terms of how to live from the inside out. We have to be willing to sort of do our own inner work. And one of the ways of doing that inner work and being in touch with the inside is like this little exercise we did in centering that way, and feeling the beauty within us that way, being in touch with our breath, being in touch with this deep sense of self and the opportunity that we have to feel whole in who we are. And I think that comes from doing inner work, like a meditation like that, or like yoga, or some other centering activity, centering prayer, helps us to do that. Now, doing inner work is not always easy for us in that way. Sometimes people are afraid to sort of go to do inner work. I've talked to people, and this has come up, different times as I work with people, and they say, well, I'm afraid if I start to look there, I'll cry and I'll never stop. And I assure them that that's not the case, that it's okay, that we can begin to sort of look inside and maybe grieve some things and have some tears in that way. But those tears are healing tears. And as we say, tears always water the soul. Tears water the soul. So this first step, or this first idea in terms of living from the inside out, is to be able to take a look at our life and maybe some things that happened in our past that are not easy to come to grips with, but they too, in understanding them, help us to feel more whole today. We're able to forgive and let go and move forward with our life that way. And as I'll talk about these in some of the future sessions, but I do really believe that dreams and opportunities to journal and opportunities to write down thoughts that you have are important for us that way. And so this first step, the willingness to do some inner work. And I would just close this first suggestion by saying sometimes it's helpful to have a guide to help you do this inner work. When I mean a guide, somebody that kind of is trained to know how to deal with the sort of inner life stuff. It might be a counselor or a therapist or a spiritual director or a pastor or somebody you really trust that way, who might know something of the inner life, and to be able to kind of walk with you in terms of that process. I'm always encouraging people, because it's hard to do it on our own because we're so close to it. But when we work with somebody who's trained, they can help us sort of move forward with this. And I'm convinced that if you're committed to doing this inner work, I know that you will find somebody to walk with you in doing this. It might take a little work, but you can do a bit of homework and reach out to me, and I can help you maybe find somebody, or at least coach you in terms of how to find somebody that might walk with you in terms of this inner journey. So the second one is that, and I talked about this a little bit before, but doing a daily spiritual practice. Yoga, meditation, prayer, centering prayer, 15 or 20 minutes a day to allow yourself to center and to be in touch with the internal. That really supports us getting in touch with our interior life that way. A third way is to, again, have a journal book and keep track of your thoughts, keep track of your dreams, keep track of your highs and lows, or just thoughts you have during the day that you think are helpful for you, to kind of write those down. A fourth idea is to be reading some material that is available to us. And at the end of this video, Austin is going to post a reading list. I've recommended 7 books. Please don't go out and buy them all right away. Do some homework on them. Look up reviews on them first, and you can read excerpts from them online to see if that's a book that you think might be helpful. But there is a reading list there that maybe would support you on this journey. And the last thought is that to do this inner work, connect with people that are also like-minded around this. Maybe you can be part of a reading group that's reading a book together that's interesting, or you could be part of a support group or a study group or a faith-based group or a group at church that find some people to join, or maybe just a good friend, a couple of good friends that get together and talk about sort of what's going on within them in a trusting, confidential place to be able to do that. I wish you well on your journey as you work to live from the inside out. I hope this has made sense for you that way. Again, do be in touch if I can help and support. And as we go about living from the inside out, I think the reward is that we come to be more peaceful, more grounded, not so caught in the drama of life. I mean, there's so many things going on that we can be caught in, but when we're living from the inside out, we have this sort of rock, this center place that we have sort of built our foundation on, that grounds us regardless of what's going on around us that way. So again, the benefit, a deep sense of inner joy, a deep sense of contentment, being at peace, and kind of knowing that this abundant life that we've been given is truly one that we're living with a fullness and a sense of real joy that way. So thank you for being with me and Austin on this today. And again, our little closing ritual that we do, if you hold up your left hand, and that represents sort of where you are on your life journey at this point, and represents some good things about where you are and some special things about where you are, and also some challenging things about where you are. And this, your right hand, as you hold that up, that represents some of the changes where you'd like to be and what you'd like to grow into, to be more the woman and the man that you've been created to be that way, to having more joy and more beauty and more contentment in your life. And as this series is about closing this gap between the two of them, so we become more the person that I know that we've been created to be. I wish you well on your journey. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.